Hey everyone, and welcome to Cocktails and Classics, where each episode we force our friend Cameron, who hasn't seen many classic films, to watch one. Before, those of us who have seen it will write down our rating, and during the movie, we'll be drinking cocktails inspired by the movie. We'll give you the recipe so you can try it at home. Afterwards, we'll dissect the movie and give our updated ratings along with Cam's first impression. So I'm Dylan, and joining me this week are Cameron.
Hey.
Ben.
Hello.
Carlos.
How's it going?
And Zach.
Hey, everyone.
So this week we're watching Heathers, a 1989 comedy, crime, teen, just all around kind of dark movie, starring Winona Ryder and Christian Slater, directed by Michael Lehman and Daniel Waters. Cameron, going in, what do you know about Heathers?
Absolutely nothing. I have never even heard of this movie until you brought up watching it.
It's definitely a cult classic. This might be our first cult classic, I think. So it'll be fun. The people that do know it, I think, may think fondly of it, and that's what I hope. Has anyone else not seen the film?
I have not seen the film. I have seen the musical adaptation, which seeing the musical of it's pretty weird. It's a weird movie / musical.
It's like Mean Girls, but better.
Yeah, sure.
Cameron, what do you expect going into the movie? Not knowing anything, apparently.
I have zero expectations. I mean, I know that's kind of boring, but
start low.
No, I have no expectation. Yeah, I've heard it's like based on what like you guys have said and such. It's like a kind of a Mean Girls-esque type movie.
I think if Tim Burton did Mean Girls.
I think that's kind of accurate. We'll come back to the Mean Girls aspect post movie, and I'll see if Zach's comparison actually holds up, because that might be a bit of a stretch. To kick this thing off and get everybody in the right mood, I'm going to pass it over to Carlos, our makeshift bartender for this week's inspired cocktail.
Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in. For Heathers this week, we are going to take a look at this recipe from Cinema Sips. So go ahead and take a look at the link in the show notes below. So what we're going to be making for this episode is the Big Blue Freeze. So for this cocktail, you are going to need 3/4 ounces of rum, 3/4 ounces of blue curacao, 3/4 ounces of creme de coconut, and 2 ounces of pineapple juice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make this cocktail. You are going to combine all of those ingredients into a shaker and shake until that's chilled. Fill a mug 3/4 of the way with crushed ice and go ahead and pour that mixture over the top. You got yourself a nice little citrusy, tropical flavoring there, and you can enjoy your Big Blue Freeze.
So good, it'll kill you.
Yeah, I highly recommend you drink this one out of a coffee mug, especially if this is your first time seeing the movie.
As someone who is a big fan of coconut rum, this drink is right up my alley. It's really good. I could see myself having a couple of these over the course of a summer. Just overall, it's sweet, not overly sweet, but it does feel kind of tropical. And it's a drink I would expect to see over at Put-in-Bay or somewhere on like a tropical area.
Yeah, it's a tropical area or Put-in-Bay.
Well, Put-in-Bay as an island does have a shit ton of those type of like islandy type drinks.
Yeah, anything with a citrusy, usually pretty good tasting notes. So if you decide to make a Big Blue Freeze, go ahead and send us a picture of your drink on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod and use hashtag Cocktails and Classics. Or if Twitter is your thing, tweet us at Cocktails Class. We'd love to see how your Big Blue Freeze comes out and hear your thoughts on what you liked about the drink. If you haven't seen the movie, sit back, sip on this week's cocktail, the Big Blue Freeze, and enjoy the show. There will be spoilers from here on out, so go ahead and keep that in mind. Otherwise, continue on for our post-movie discussion. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations.
Wouldn't it be cool if everyone just killed themselves?
We definitely live in a society. But
Bottom
the school
text.
is the society. It's deep, isn't it? It's deep.
Oh my God, it's so deep. The school. We are society. Oh my God.
So
Don't worry, these bullets aren't going to kill them. They're just going to knock them unconscious.
Yeah, they're only bullets.
They're
They
German
don't do
bullets,
damage.
okay?
Jesus
They were
Christ.
historically known for not killing people and just knocking them unconscious.
So we watched Heathers from 1989, starring Christian Slater and Winona Ryder, directed by Michael Lehman and written by Daniel Waters. The plot is, in order to get out of the snobby clique that is destroying her good girl reputation, an intelligent teen teams up with a dark sociopath in a plot to kill the cool kids. I don't know if that's an accurate plot description, but we'll let it roll. Heathers currently has a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It's considered a cult classic, obviously, because would in no way do well in theaters, I feel like. It is a movie about just a dark comedy about suicide and murder. Cameron, what was your initial reaction to the film?
This is a fucking weird movie, man. I mean, yeah, it was a weird fucking movie. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it, but it certainly wasn't that. Like, honestly, this definitely makes sense that it's a cult classic. Like, it's definitely a movie that you're not gonna, parade it around and tell everybody that it's like, an amazing movie.
They're definitely not going to play it
Unless
at
you're
school.
Dylan.
Well, yeah, I would hope that you don't play it at school. But it's a movie you tell people that you're like, hey, I don't even know what to say about it, honestly.
I feel like this is a movie.
This is a movie that exists and was made in 1989 and stars Winona Ryder.
I feel like this is a movie you have to ask if someone else has seen. Like, oh, have you seen Heathers? And then if they say yes, what'd you think? And then if they say they liked it and you also like the movie, then you strike up a conversation. But this isn't a movie you go into and be like, oh my God, you should totally watch Heathers.
Like, let's put it this way.
No.
If I was on a date with someone and they were like, let's watch a movie. And
This one's my favorite.
And I thought to my head, what movies would I want to show this person? Heathers would not be on the list of those movies.
Hey, man. Do you like Heathers, man? It's so good, man. You gotta see it.
Your Dylan impression's really good.
It's have you seen Heathers? Heathers is so very.
It is
It's so very.
It is also such a late 80s movie. Like it is
The
such
dialogue.
an 80s movie. The dialogue, the
score.
music, the shooting, the shoot style even. Yeah, it's
The clothing.
I mean, yeah. But it's such an 80s movie.
I mean, that's how we got to it. And I had seen it, and I kind of forced this upon you guys, I would say. As the intro claims, we forced our friend Cameron to watch this film. I didn't tell much about it. I was like, it's about cliques and school.
That said, I still enjoyed the movie. I still enjoyed it. It was a weird fucking movie, but I still enjoyed the movie.
Like our movie from last week, there is a lot of use of the word F with star after.
The F word, that's not fuck. The other
Yes,
one.
the 3-letter F word or a 6-letter F word. There is a lot of use of that word.
The colloquial term.
And obviously 2020, that's not okay.
You old people in that F word, you really like to say it.
Yeah, boomers love
You're like
the F
Quentin
word.
Tarantino making movies. You'll find any excuse to say that word.
That word is the women's feet of the late 80s.
Oh.
Oh, I was talking about Quentin Tarantino and saying the N word.
Oh my God. Oh, so many Tarantino fans are gonna bash this podcast now.
Well, I don't know if this part's making it in. We'll see.
Cameron, things that did or did not surprise you.
Can I just say the whole fucking thing? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
like-
that's fair.
Yeah, no, that's an acceptable.
No, I
answer.
mean, yeah, the whole movie surprised me. I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I certainly didn't expect it to go murder looking like suicide, and then everybody kind of just accepts the suicide angle with no question whatsoever.
The parents are so
And then the
awkward
guy
about
at the
it.
end blows himself up. And
School's just normal.
And school's normal. Everybody walks outside and they're like, I don't know.
No one notices the kid that's just blown up. They all like hear the explosion and then they're just like, huh, that was weird. Like what?
They just go
Well, it
go
looks
about
like
their
they're
day.
going
Like,
outside
and
to
she-
figure out what happened.
Well,
and-
yeah, but she's just walking through the school like with ash and
Also, if
shit
this
all
were
over her.
also, she should have blood all over her. Like if we're being real, like a human body just exploded. She would have blood on her, like
I
a
love-
ton of it.
I love the bit. Just everyone is so nonchalant in the movie about death. Like
Yeah,
when Heather Chandler dies, and the principal and all the teachers are talking. And they're like, "Oh, is this the cheerleader?" No, that's Heather McNamara. And they're like, the principal says, "I'd be willing to go half day for the cheerleader." Like what? And then after Kurt and Ram die, some random girl just runs up and she says, "Oh, we've got the day off. Kurt and Ram killed themselves in a repressed homosexual suicide pact."
I love how not as hardcore as that, but the first time you really meet JD and he stands up to the two jocks and he just pulls out a 44 Magnum and shoots blanks at the two guys, immediately cuts to the Heathers and Veronica talking, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know, they shouldn't suspend him. Oh, he should be expelled. He brought a gun into the school. No, he didn't even kill anyone. You can't expel him." What?
Oh, right. It's just the whole like the whole dialogue between that, man. I was just like, this is crazy. Like they're just so chill about it. Like because immediately my reaction is like, what the hell did this kid just do? Like
This movie, I'm surprised they've remade this into a TV show in like 2015, and
are you serious?
and I sit here
Yeah, they did.
2020 and I'm still like, there's no way they could make this movie today.
There's no way.
Well,
There's no.
well,
I
they
said-
could probably. I mean, like you said, they made the musical, so they would do it. They would just
Well-
change things about it.
Ma-
Yeah, the musical, they just make him beating up the football players instead of him pulling a
Yeah.
gun.
Most memorable line?
Grow up, Heather. Bulimia is so 87.
Maybe the one at the end where they're like, "Oh, you look like you are in you look like hell or whatever," and she goes, "Yeah, I just got back." Like, I
See, I
feel
love
like that's pretty famous.
I love the part with the school counselor where like at the beginning of the movie the principal and all the other teachers are basically just calling her a hippie, and then like after like the like one of the maybe after the
after
the
the
two football
football
players
players.
kill themselves or something else, she walks up to Veronica and says something, and Veronica just goes, "Get a job." Just straight up like plays along with the fact that like I kept waiting for her to be like, "Just get a job, hippie," and walk away.
I wonder if she enjoys slacklining.
Probably.
I like when after Heather Chandler dies, Heather Duke is like crouched next to her casket, and she's like, "I prayed for the death of Heather Chandler many times, and I felt bad every time I did it, but I kept doing it anyways. Now I know you understood everything. Praise Jesus, hallelujah." Oh, and this one's for Ben. Yeah, but this is Ohio. If you don't have a brewski in your hand, you might as well be wearing a dress.
Yeah.
I love the line early on when Veronica's and Heather Chandler are talking, and Heather goes, "Oh, fuck me gently with a chainsaw."
That was a weird line.
I think that's just
Yeah.
like that's just part of that 80s
Why-
banter.
Why are
Yeah,
you
totally.
pulling
That's
on
so
my
80s.
dick?
Yeah.
Why are you pulling on my
Why are you
dick? Yeah,
pulling
that
on my
one too.
That is one that might get co-opted in the normal conversation.
Another one that like I feel like just kind of slipped by was when Heather Chandler's like ghost in the dream comes and she says, "If I have to sing Kumbaya one more
Yeah.
time, I'm gonna be sick."
Oh, that is one point that I think this movie fell short was the dialogue. Some of the dialogue just it needed a second look. Whoever wrote it, they needed a peer review.
Oh my god! And then another one that just gets slipped in there is the principal is like, "I've seen a lot of things in my time here, blah 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 blah. Sexually perverse
Yeah, I saw
photographs
that.
involving tennis rackets." It's like, what?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, just casually slipped into conversation.
This isn't just a spoke in my menstrual cycle. Veronica viciously scribbling into her diary. Like, whoa.
Oh my god, she's always got that monocle on.
Yeah, that was so
what is the
weird.
Yeah, I noticed. Like,
Yeah.
she throws it on every time she writes.
Well, and did you notice her like side table is like an exclamation point?
Yeah, I
question
did
mark,
notice that. Yeah.
commas.
What I think is weird is the fact that like her handwriting is so atrocious in all of her notebooks, but she's forging notes for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how is she that good at copying like different people's writing styles, but her own is just absolute trash? Like, she fits 4 lines on a page. What? How many notebooks
Yeah, it
do you
was
have?
bad.
If you're writing every day and you're writing like more than 2 sentences, you have to have like 40 notebooks in a room somewhere.
Also, she's just openly admitting to all the crimes she's done in these notebooks.
Yeah, the FBI is going to show up and be like, okay, well, we've got you
Yeah,
dead to rights.
but
You've
book 'em.
confessed
We got
100
'em.
different times.
But the FBI, the CIA, and the PTA can't stop
That's
JD.
true. That damn PTA cannot stop JD.
Another subtle one is when they're at the Remington party, the frat guy says to Veronica,
Yeah.
I really hate the question, "What's your major?" And then she doesn't answer, and he says, when you go to school, what are you going to study?
Yeah.
I liked when they're sitting there in the boiler room and she's asking JD, how do I stop the bomb? And he goes, I don't know, try the red button. And the bomb is just all red buttons.
Or when she shoots him and it just blows his middle finger off.
Oh, it's
Just clean
Like,
off.
clean off his hand. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, and the fact that she shoots him, she shuts the bomb off and then like just walks outside. And then he stumbles outside and is just like, well, you win. I guess I'll just blow myself up instead.
And he's like, oh, you have so much
Slate.
raw power.
Yeah, I'm going to give up my plan of blowing up the rest of the school. I'm just going to kill myself because why not?
Was there a holy shit moment for you guys?
I like, too, the fact that, like, they listen to this girl on the radio talking about how she pretty much wants to kill herself. And instead of being like, wow, we should really help her. No, they go to school the next day and they're
We're gonna
like, "Did you
crucify
hear?
her."
This bitch tried to kill herself.
What a loser.
What the fuck?
It's definitely a dark, capital DARK key.
Whoa, can you spell?
Hierarchy.
I
Oh,
didn't
wait,
know
somebody's been
Slizzard.
drinking
I
a
didn't-
Drano.
I didn't know key was a letter of the
It
alphabet.
is. This is definitely a capital dark comedy.
Yeah, I don't know that I would consider this movie much of a comedy. Like, is it supposed to be a comedy because it has like a relatively happy ending? Is that why they consider it a comedy? I don't think back to watching the movie just now and being like, oh yeah, there were so many times this movie just had me in stitches.
I mean, that's kind of what those are, I think, right? Like, they're movies that it's funny in their like absurdity of like how dark they go with like certain things.
But this one wasn't funny.
I thought moments
Wow.
were funny. I thought it was like I don't know. Like, I think it seems like dark comedies are ones that you don't like haha laugh at, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I was laughing quite a bit in this movie.
I mean, there were some parts where I was laughing because of the
Sharply
content,
exhale from your nose.
or others where it was like I was laughing at how bad it was at other points.
Do they even have Thanksgiving in Africa? Yeah. Pilgrims, Indians, tater tots. What?
Oh man, yeah. This whole movie, man, it's something else. I wouldn't call it comedy either. Maybe dark drama.
This movie is funny in the same way The Room is funny.
Because it's bad.
I don't know about that's not fair. Tommy Wiseau was not trying to make a comedy movie. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. How it works is every month members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection. Audible has a free, easy-to-use app that allows you to download titles and listen offline at your convenience. Dylan and Ben, what are your experiences with Audible?
So I used the Audible free trial a couple years ago, and I've gone back to it since. I listened to Pet Sematary by Stephen King, and I really like it when I'm driving on like long road trips.
I used it to listen to one of James Ellroy's LA quartet novels, The Big Nowhere. I would definitely recommend it to anyone on the go, whether it's just driving to work or for long flights. It's great. You can listen to something on your phone, connect it to Bluetooth. You get to work, log into your work computer, and listen up.
To start your free 30-day trial, go to audibletrial.com/cocktailsandclassics, all lowercase. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cocktailsandclassics. After your free trial is up, it'll cost $14.95 per month. However, there are no commitments, and if you can't decide what to listen to at that particular month, that's okay. You can always roll your credits over for up to a year.
A little bit of a tradition around here is Zach takes over and gives us a little trivia quiz. So, Zach, take it away.
All right, thanks, Dylan. You guys know the format. 3 quick questions. Let's get into the first one. How many times is the name Heathers used in the film? Is it A, 55, B, 75, or C, 90?
I know the answer to this one, so I'm going to wait until the end.
I'm going to say, what was B, 75?
Yep.
I'm going to go with a nice 75. Just going to split it down the middle.
I'm going to go with C. No
And playing the
explanation.
game.
What was the number C for C?
90.
Number C
No,
was 90.
okay, the number 4C, cock.
There was no number 4.
All right.
Right. I'm gonna take the
75.
Dylan train and say 75.
I'll go with Ben and say 75. 90. Sorry, fuck. I'll go with Ben and say 90. C,
My
90.
lord. You guys were sharing the
too much
Drano this
Drano.
episode. All right, the Drano boys are on the board with a point each.
90,
Ben and Cam got it correct 90 times.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
a
it's a
lot
ton.
of Heather.
Shut up, Heather.
All right, we haven't done a true or false in a bit, so let's hit one of those. In the film, Heather Chandler asked the question, "Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?" It's one of the amazing lines of dialogue in this. True or false? The actress who played Heather Chandler would later die of a brain tumor almost 13 years after filming.
True.
True.
Fuck, I don't know. This is so weird. No, it was 14 years after she started filming.
Yeah, that's always my concern. That Zach's just memeing us with the number. Like the number is going to be different.
Or it's going to be a different person. I'm going to say false.
Okay.
Just
So
say
I
false,
didn't.
Ben.
How does he play the game?
No, I didn't see this, but looking at IMDb, I did see that like the last movie she was in was like 1998. So I'm going to say true.
That is correct. It was true. I figured we'd have a equally dark trivia question to match the horribly dark movie.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be like the 9/11 one from The Matrix.
Gotta throw one in there. Okay, so Ben is in the lead with 2 points. Then we have Cameron, Carlos, and Dylan each with a point. So the third question. At the end of the movie, what board game does Veronica have sitting by her desk in her bedroom? It's like a half-played board game. Is it A, chess, B, life, or C, go?
Go? Like the
Like the Chinese checker game.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Mimi, like, I'm 14 and this is deep answer and say the game of life.
I'll say go. What's it gonna be, Ben?
Well, I'm torn.
Into pieces?
No,
Can't
but
deny it.
but I think I'm 14 and this is deep question or answer could be life or also chess.
Yeah. It's my
just
dilemma
because,
as well.
Yeah. So it's really the gambler's dilemma here.
I mean, any of them are kind of like that, though. Somebody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, she's gonna be playing Go because she's so smart and delighted."
She's so smart. She knew bullets could stun people. I'm gonna say it's life.
I'm going to play the game and say it's chess. Because if Ben is right and it's life, then we all lose anyway. So
However, if Ben is incorrect and Carlos is right, then we have another tie.
That's true.
We have a Ben and Carlos each have 2
was
points.
Go?
It was
Wow,
go.
weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
Somehow there was a game of Go half played on her desk. All right, so Cam and Dylan, you guys can sit this one out because you losers only got 1 point
Fuck
apiece.
you.
This feels familiar.
I'm gonna kill you and make it look like you killed yourself.
Ben and Carlos, the tie-breaking question. What was the Westerberg High School mascot? Was it A, the Huskies, B, the Bulldogs, or C, the Rottweilers?
Rottweilers.
Ooh, I believe it's the Bulldogs.
I think it's the Huskies.
It's Rottweilers.
It is the Rottweilers. Carlos takes the cake.
Woo! 2 episodes in a row, boys.
This guy's on a roll.
The only way I remember that is when
The
they were
cheering at the pep rally.
Well, yeah, because I looked at I was seeing like all the students, and then on the back of the wall, even before like when Christian Slater's character is going in there before the assembly. Yeah, I was trying, for some reason I was looking at the picture on the wall and trying to make out like what it said.
In typical high school fashion, we're going to play marry, date, kill. We're going to give 3 characters, and you have to choose which one you would marry, date, or kill. First off, we're going to do the Heathers. Heather Chandler, Heather Duke, and Heather McNamara.
All right, I guess I'll go first. I think we're gonna marry McNamara because she seemed like the most normal of them, I guess. Similar to Veronica, we're gonna kill Heather Chandler, and then by default, we're going to date Heather Duke. I feel like Heather Chandler was the most annoying of the 3.
Really? She was only in the movie for like the first couple minutes.
Yeah, but she just berates her friend.
Yeah,
Veronica.
she berates her friends. She's like talks down to everybody. She's like Veronica. She's like telling her what to do all the time. Heather Duke is certainly annoying. Don't get me wrong, but
Heather Duke basically becomes the same person as soon as Heather Chandler's gone. Does she not?
But it's for that reason that Heather Duke is the true baddie. So I'm going to kill Heather Duke, going to marry McNamara, and date Chandler because Heather Chandler deserves a second chance. We see her in the movie and she's already been carrying the weight of being so popular for so many years. You don't know her situation. You don't know what she's been through. But Heather Duke is like, yeah, I'm just going to put on her hairpins and stuff and steal all of her keychains because I'm popular now and I don't, whatever. Like, she was the true baddie. Heather Chandler deserves a second chance, and I'll give her that.
She is blackmailed into being the baddie, though, by JD.
Yeah, she was a fan.
Okay, I'm with Zach on this one, where I think we're all in agreement. You marry Heather McNamara. She seems like she's the most adjusted of the bunch. Heather Chandler, I feel like, would be fun to date because she can get you into all the cool parties. You can hang out with all the older kids and go drinking at the college parties. Heather Duke, though, kind of a total biatch. Like, one, she's at Heather Chandler's funeral. Is like, I've prayed for this to happen so many times, and I felt bad about it, but you did it, so like, I'm not sad about it. And then she immediately went to like every TV station she could to get as much TV airtime to sit there and like grieve over the loss of Heather Chandler. And then as soon as they find out that Heather McNamara is contemplating killing herself, she walks into the school and just completely is like, did you hear? She writes on the chalkboard. Like, that's just a shitty thing to do. You can't tell me that she's a good person. At least Heather Chandler at points seemed like there was at least some upside. Heather Duke just seems like
because she's just a
loss to me.
total see you next Tuesday to Heather Duke. When they're playing croquet, she's like hitting her ball over past the thing, and then she miraculously makes that shot, and then it goes and hits her ball again. Like, come on.
I won't argue that, but I still think Heather Duke, after Heather Chandler dies, Heather Duke shows that she's just as bad, and I'm guessing if she were in the same spot, she would be the exact same way.
Also, Heather Chandler's like, oh, you didn't want to bang this frat boy? I'm going to ruin your life on Monday because you puked on the carpet at this frat party.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Cameron on this one. And here's why. Like, obviously Heather Chandler, absolute no-go. I feel like with Heather Duke, though, at the very end when Winona Ryder is walking out of the school and like kisses her on the cheek or whatever and gets her like the soot and dust on her face, I feel like at that moment, like, she kind of has like this realization, like, wow, like I'm a pretty crappy person. Maybe she can turn it around a little bit. But I also feel like she was also being like blindly led while she was kind of like flying on the coattails of Heather Chandler and being led blindly. She probably wasn't able to fix her, fix her attitude or fix how she went about things. She had seen no other way in her social experience. So I feel like at that point, when Winona Ryder kind of leaves, I feel like she would have like a little change of heart. So I think she is more worthy of that second chance than Heather Chandler would be.
So I'm going to debate you on 2 points. One,
You've fallen into my trap.
she has her chance to change after Heather Chandler commits quote unquote suicide, and yet she still becomes almost identical to Heather Chandler. And 2, the reason you pick her is because at the end of it, she was alive to make the change. Like, basically, you're just like, oh, because Heather Chandler died, she didn't get to have the experience to change her personality.
But even when Heather like Chandler like is in Winona Ryder's like dream, it doesn't really seem like it at that point. It also doesn't seem like she probably would have changed if her character had stayed in the movie.
But her dream is just how Veronica views her. All right. Well,
I guess that's why it's up for debate. But yeah, I get it.
I just want to raise the point, namely so that your major argument was that because at the end of the movie, Veronica says something to her and she makes a change, but Heather Chandler's been dead for like a month, so she doesn't get to make the character change.
All right, I have an interesting next combo. My challenge to you guys is you have to pick the same thing, except this time it's going to be JD, Kurt, one of the football players, or Peter Dawson, that guy who was in I don't remember what club it was, but
It was like the yearbook club.
yeah, yearbook club, and he was also on the
Feed the Hungry guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that when he was asked like, about the $5 million, talked about like taxes and Social Security and bullshit. There you go. Those are your 3: JD, Kurt, Peter Dawson.
All right, I'll go. I think I'm set on this one. You marry Peter Dawson. He's already thinking ahead financially. That guy's got a good head on his shoulders. He knows what's up. If we're considering dating as substituting for what other things would be for this game, but in terms of, I guess, again, going to the guy that would be able to get you like 2 parties, someone that would actually be able to like open the door for you to meet new people, you got to go Kurt. He's the quarterback. People love him in the town. Obviously, I feel like you kill JD. To quote Hank Hill, that boy ain't right.
All right. I'm similar, but slightly different. Yes, I agree completely. You marry Peter Dawson for the reason Ben said. Don't worry about your taxes. Don't worry about finances. This guy's got it locked down. He's paying off his taxes first, yada, yada. After that is when things get different. I'm going to kill Kurt. Because I have to, because that date with JD would be so much fun. As long as we didn't end up murdering people. As long as we avoided
That's a big
as long
if.
as we avoided the step where we killed other people, that would be a fun time.
I'm gonna actually differ from both of you guys. I think I'm gonna marry JD. I think the boy just needs some love. I think as long as you're committed to him, he's not going to try and murder you.
But he could murder other people.
Dylan doesn't care about
What
that.
he does in his private time is that's his private time.
But he will likely make you try and partake in these murders.
I don't have good foraging skills, so I can't really help him out there. But I'm gonna date Kurt. I think he's just
You
a
are
fun
gonna
guy.
kill Peter Dawson?
Yeah. I
Aw.
mean, he's not.
What did Peter
He's not
Dawson
adding
do to
much
you?
to my life. JD's fun. Kurt's a cool guy. Peter's got nothing going for him. He's leader of a yearbook club? Get out of here.
No, see, the thing is, Dylan does his own taxes by hand with pen and paper. That's why he doesn't need Peter.
Exactly.
Dylan likes the bad boy.
I do. I love the My Chemical Romance, JD.
I'm gonna go with Ben on this one. I feel like JD would like off me in my sleep or something.
Only if you don't kill people in his name
Exactly.
and then make it look like they killed themselves.
So I took the liberty of scouring Internet Movie Database, or IMDb, for some reviews of this film. So first off, I have a 1 out of 10 from Senjin Tulak, October 8th, 2002. He said, or she, I guess I'm assuming gender here, beware of cute killers, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I just can't believe IMDb can give 7+ to a movie like that. For God's sakes, people, this movie is essentially a stupid little teenage version of how to kill someone without any reason and get away with it. The fact that it has 3 cute girls on the cover deceives the fact that besides being quite stupid and boring, it also bears a quite unacceptable message to its target audience, i.e. teenagers. Heather's almost makes me wish there was something like censorship in Blockbuster. ...
Oh, it's a blockbuster. Oh.
I'm going to say that I thought I would have more in common with this review, but I can't get on the... I can't do it with this person. I don't like it. Like the
My
reason
thing
they don't
is-
like it is because it sets a poor example. Like, no, there are plenty of reasons. There are plenty of things in this movie.
There are so many reasons to bash this
there are plenty
movie,
of
and
things
yours
to
aren't one
like
of them.
hate on in this movie, but that is certainly not one of them. Like, it clearly shows how fucked up they are and bad.
But could you really, like, can you sit there and be like, I was bored during this movie? I did not.
No, that's
have
true.
any enjoyment.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, like I said before, is I did enjoy it, and I don't think it's a boring movie. It's a weird movie, and like maybe you don't think it makes sense, and maybe the dialogue isn't great, but like it certainly is not boring. I don't think.
The dialogue was the best part.
I also was expecting to see like 1 out of 10 stars and be like, okay, I could understand it, and then listen to what they have to say and be like, they make some valid points. But if your complaint is that this movie sets a bad example, it would be one thing if like the bad guys win in the end. Which
Veronica
I
does
guess
win
to be
in the
fair,
end.
Veronica does kill like 3 people and gets away.
But she
scot-
She only
befriends the-
technically killed
so-
one, really.
Didn't she shoot?
Yeah,
Or
she
did
shot
only
one
shoot
guy
the one guy.
because she missed the second guy. Remember, and he had to like
Okay.
chase him down.
You're right. I'm sorry. How could I forget?
She only
Veronica
commits murder
killed one
once.
person
Okay?
and was an
It's
accessory
to 2.
and
Yeah.
was an accessory to
Yeah.
murder twice. And then at the end of the movie, she just befriends the nerdy girl, and everything's okay. But at the same time, I think it does kind of. It at no point paints what these kids are doing in a positive light. At no point is it like, wow, suicide's so great, guys. It's like, no. If that's the issue with your movie, then you know what? Keep trying to go to a blockbuster in 2020 because you don't need to see movies anymore. I hate when people complain about censorship in movies. Like, you know what? Watch a goddamn trailer. And if you still want to watch the movie, great. If not, then don't watch it.
I think the movie is trying to say more than it really leads with. Because when you listen to like the preacher and he's talking about kids and their MTV video games and all this jazz and that they need to find Jesus and stuff and I mean it's in no way is it saying like suicide's badass, but it's also talking about how
Suicide
like
is badass.
but it's talking about how people are influenced by the things they see, and that's this thing that is influencing people in a sense. Like the number 1 song on radio is "Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It," or, and there's just all this all these jokes and gags about it, but it's trying to also put that conscious out there, I think.
What I thought was interesting, speaking of the preacher, I have to check because he looked really familiar. And I want to say he was. It's really interesting that it was the second movie in 2 years that he and Winona Ryder were in the same movie. He was also in the cast of Beetlejuice. He was when they have like the house party after they buy the house. He's one of the like hoity-toity house guests. And as soon as he came on the screen, I was like, that guy looks really familiar.
Oh, he's the
Sure enough, he
he's
was
the
in
mayor in
Beetlejuice
Nightmare Before
with
Christmas
Winona
as
Ryder.
well.
Yeah. Which makes sense because Heather seems a lot like a Tim
Yeah,
Burton
and he
movie.
was also in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Oh, know. It's almost like Tim Burton uses a lot of the same people in a lot
Maybe
of his
that
movies.
guy. Maybe that guy is Tim Burton.
Have you ever seen him and Tim Burton in the same place at the same time?
I never have.
Yeah.
I never have.
Exactly.
So
Got him. I want to hear the 10 out of 10.
All right. From May 2nd, 2001, Dave Dimmer gave it a 10 out of 10, saying 80s teen genre turned upside down. A masterpiece without any doubt. How popular those 80 teen flicks were, and for good reason. A new genre explored and through the likes of John Hughes delivered masterfully. Heather's changed that all. It is in this context that the film must be viewed. See the likes of The Breakfast Club, Some Kind of Wonderful, St. Elmo's Fire, and you may start to realize the huge impact this film had, and still does. Here, the genre is torn apart and reshaped entirely the wrong way up. Where before this type of film was a real feel-good factor genre, Heathers flips this into a dark yet comical still, shocker. Winona Ryder and Christian Slater are perfectly cast and allows the film to evolve beyond the simple teen flick. If you haven't seen it, do so. If you have, then get and watch some of the other 80s classics and admire further its genius. Signed, Dave.
I actually really like
am
that
Dave.
take. I think that's good. Like, I actually didn't think about that. But it actually is smart to, like, especially if you consider, like he did, the movies at the time. All those movies ended the same. They had very similar plots. Like, yeah, and this one really didn't at all. So, I don't know. I like that take. I like that one. I actually might change my mind on it.
Yeah, he thinks very critically about it, which I feel like I don't necessarily. I was looking more at like the movie as itself sending this message, and he's like comparing it to the other 80s teen flicks. I like that viewpoint. I don't know if I totally agree with that high of a rating, but
Yeah, 10 out of 10
is
is still very high.
yeah, I mean, I don't agree one way, like 1 out of 10 or the other 10 out of 10, but I think it is very thoughtful approach to viewing the film.
Yeah, I think, Dylan, you put a perfect little bow on that.
I don't know when movies are too smart for me and when I just don't get them. Maybe this is one of them. But this movie is like, if it's like subtly making fun of other 80s teen movies and like teen dramas that came out, okay. But I feel like I need to be told that going in. Like if somebody puts on this movie and I start watching, I go, oh my God, this is bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's me not getting it or if I needed it to be explained or what.
Or just not realizing that it's like, if it might be like satire in comparison to movies like The Breakfast Club, which is a primarily teen main characters aimed at a teen audience. You know, kind of like what the guy said, like rebuilding it up in the wrong way. And I can see that, but in no way would I call this movie genius.
Yeah, was there bad dialogue because they're making fun of all the perfect dialogue in the 80s movies, quote unquote perfect? Or was there bad dialogue because they rushed it through and the guy didn't do a very good job writing it? I don't know.
I don't know if the dialogue was part of the part of the satire there, if it even is.
I feel like they would have made it clearer that they were trying to overtly make the dialogue satirical. I feel like we would have caught on to that very early on, but then it continued on. So we were like, oh, they're actually like engaging in conversation this way for this movie. Yeah, it's not happening.
I think part of it is, I think lines like, that's so very, like those ones, I think are partly satirical of like the 80s, like dialogue and like Mean Girls, for instance, like so fetch. Like it's like those weird catchphrasey type sayings that people had in the 80s. I think that is like some of the satire. Fuck me with a chainsaw. I don't think it's satire of an
Fuck
80s
me
movie.
gently
No,
with a
sorry.
chainsaw. Gently.
See, it's interesting that you say like that's so very and things like that, because I don't normally associate those as much with 80s movies as I do movies of like, I guess the movies that followed after Heathers. Like, for some reason, I guess I don't, and it could just be because I'm, a 26-year-old millennial that more remembers the movies that would have come after, that would have had those types of I don't want to say dialect, but that way of talking. Like, if you watch a movie that was like Clueless from what was Clueless, 96 or something, like it's very much the dialogue's a product of its time, but the dialogue in Heathers actually seems like the high school slang and everything actually seems like it is more ahead of its time than it is trying to be satire of the movies that came before it.
If you look at IMDb, you can see the references that other movies have made towards this film, and almost everything has quoted, "What's your damage?" That is, like, I guess, the most iconic line from this film, because you have Arrow, Mr. Robot. What else we have here? iZombie has referenced that. Perfect Sisters, The Neighbors, Close Encounter of the Bird Kind is the name of the episode. The Cold Lands, Piranaconda.
Is that the bar? If we can get Piranaconda to quote our movie,
ER
then it's good. Then the writing is
quoted it
good.
multiple times. Gilmore Girls, like,
Let me know if you find a reference to the line, "Great pate, Mom, but I got a motor if I want to be ready for that funeral."
well,
How many people reference that?
I mean, she said, "I got a motor." Like, that was the second time she had used that phrase too.
me, I'm gonna say that all the time. Well, I don't really eat meat, but I will say it every time.
"Great veggies, Mom, but I got a motor if I want to be ready for that funeral."
Welcome to the 80s. Before the movie, those of us who had seen it wrote down our ratings based off nostalgia and memory. And now I want to know if your rating has changed or not.
I'll go first because I saw the movie at least once before. I don't remember it very fondly, and after watching it, I still don't remember it very fondly. So going into it, I gave it a 2, and coming out of it, I was tempted to drop it down, but I don't know what the floor is with classic movies, but this has to be near it. And again, it could be a scenario where I just don't get it, and maybe that's on me, and I deserve it too. But the dialogue is so weird in this movie. The noose is loose. Loose is noose. What?
The juice
Why
is
are
loose.
you pulling my dick? I should have let you take that job at the mall. There's so... I don't know. Dylan's looking at me like a disappointed dad.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. I didn't give it a 1 because I don't know how far we're going to go down. But in terms of classic movies, this is bad. In terms of B movies, this is very good.
The takeaway is that if in a vacuum he would have given this a 1. The only thing that stops him from giving a 1 is that we might watch a worse movie in the future.
I think I gave Jurassic Park a 7. And I think I gave Animal House a 4. That's a pretty fair progression downward. This might actually be the last episode of the podcast, Dylan.
I'm not furious. I am just flabbergasted that you sit
I thought
here.
you were better than this.
No.
Disappointed in you.
I'm impressed that you sit here on my podcast.
You come to me on the day of my favorite movie.
You come to me on our podcast, quote these lines, laugh your ass off, and then give it a 2.
Well, I laughed because it wasn't good.
Zach was like, we're one bad review from ending this podcast. we're there.
I was foreshadowing.
Oh my god.
Wow, I thought we'd at least make it to 10.
Going in, I have on my IMDb, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. And honestly, I'm gonna leave it there.
What?
It's
I love this.
fantastic,
Oh
in
my god, we're
opinion.
not at a consensus, really.
It's dark. It gives me that feeling that I enjoy from a good dark movie, that I'm laughing at this, and should I laugh at this? You know what? You got to give yourself a little chuckle every once in a while.
But the Animal House scenes were too raunchy and too dated.
Yeah, because this one isn't like, I mean, obviously, yes, some of the use of the 3-letter word are a little dated, but like Zach, I feel like he's like they're not trying to be funny. I think this movie, they're obviously trying to be funny, and that the dialogue is just wonky on purpose. I like some of the acting is a little kind of weird. Like Christian Slater's is a little odd. Some of his acting and dialogue, but I think that's just all part of what makes this movie fantastic. I don't know. I love cult classics though, so I will say that some of these movies we may watch that you guys are gonna just be like, this was absolute trash. But sometimes I kind of like trash if this is trash.
I left room for a 1, so I'm ready. Bring it on.
And I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna give this one a big old number 1.
Ooh,
The only reason I wasn't bored. That's it.
that's
all
your
I got
criteria
from it.
for a 1?
I just wasn't bored. It didn't really do much for me.
All the standards here. That's Cameron's criteria for hitting pause on it.
Dylan's deleting your contact information from his phone right now.
Yeah, I know. He's like, Dylan's like currently like unfriending me on Facebook and plotting to move back to Michigan and kill me with JD. But yeah, it just didn't do it for me, man. Like this movie was rough. Like it like in so many ways. Classic. Nah, I can't see it. I'm gonna give it a big old number 1. I don't think I would recommend it for peeps, but most of the movie I was just asking myself, what the heck am I watching? What the heck am I watching? And then the first thing I come out and say after the movie's done, what the heck did I just watch?
I had not seen this movie. Like I said, I've seen the musical, so I kind of knew what I was in for. I knew what to expect. I knew what was going to be happening. I gave this movie, after watching the movie, I gave it a 4 out of 10. At no point was I sitting there like, oh dear God, is this movie ever going to end? I was pretty entertained throughout. It was something that it's hard because even though I hadn't seen the movie, I knew the plot of the movie. So there was nothing that was coming up that was really a surprise. I just think there were some parts that just didn't seem like they clicked the right way. And for that, I don't think this movie is it's just not my cup of tea. And I'm not going to sit there and hate anyone who loves the movie. But it wasn't my thing.
I think my final rating on this movie is probably around a 6.5. Like, I enjoyed the movie. It is quite ridiculous. It's out there. The dialogue's kind of wonky.
Super wonky.
Very, very wonky.
It's very.
But really, like, I wasn't bored. But more so than that, like, I didn't know where the movie was going to go. And I really, really liked that guy's, like, take on it of how, it essentially, for like an 80s quote coming of age tale, it's very much not that at all. And so it starts off kind of like that, but then it diverges very quickly. I don't think I'm going to watch it again, maybe, but I think that overall I would give it like a 6.5-ish. See, that wasn't so bad.
No, you've given me hope for the next episode, actually. We could do it again sometime.
We got a nice good range of scores in that time, guys. That was good.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to share us with your friends. Go and tell 2 friends about this podcast. That really helps us. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod, or if you're into Twitter, reach us at Cocktails Class. Post, send, and tag us in your drink photos or your movie recommendations. What did you think about the Big Blue Freeze? And use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics. And until next time, watch responsibly.